cloud cover from there to the ground, they basically ionize the entire air column. That's a plasma envelope. You can use frequencies to stimulate that envelope and do an awful lot of things. You can heat it, you can cool it, and just from pure meteorology, what it takes to make a good thunderstorm is the moisture, a little bit of cyclonic motion, and a cap. This is putting a cap, and I have seen a cap over every storm that comes through. In fact, there's a cap on the sky almost every day. We had a couple of days, I think 4 days this last year, that I thought I might be seeing real clouds. Well, that's kind of scary. At least it was for me. And she talked about rickets, but global dimming, we have it, and it's because of these programs. Whether they're intentional or not, they're changing our weather. They're changing our weather chaos, which changes the habitats for all of the species. Everything is changing. Again, I still think this is the most serious thing we've ever run into. Again, I think the mad scientists are involved here. Okay, well then, when they start talking about, chemtrails, it came up in the weather modification programs of the military. I know Dennis Kucinich mentioned it in the Space Act, but it was basically trying to get a grip on electromagnetic weapons and chemtrails. They went by that name, chemtrails. So whoever named them chemtrails, it was the military. So, excuse me, you going to tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist and going on your terms? I'm sure that bothered me a little bit. Okay, well, let's look at the partner. Well, let's see, I just talked about this. And the chemtrails and HAARP. HAARP is that electromagnetic energy system. This was a Tesla invention. He came up with alternating current. In fact, he should have gotten most of the credit for the entire development of our electrical system. He basically put it all together. The guy was a genius. And he came up with a free energy device. And he took it to J.P. Morgan, and J.P. Morgan said, well, what good is that? We can't make any money on that. I thought you'd find that an interesting comment. Okay? So, how they work together is chemtrails provides a mirror in the sky and the plasma envelope, and HAARP provides pulsed frequencies, and they can mimic any frequency. They have 1 billion watts of power just in the Alaskan unit. Okay, and that 1 billion watts, you can do a lot with it. And if the mirror of the sky, you can aim, they can direct these particular antennas. There might be stationed anchored on the ground, but they can direct the energy. And when you direct the energy, you can get the bounce down to the ground almost anywhere you want, or you can heat the entire, or cool the entire air column. Gee, that's a good start on learning how to modify weather, isn't it? I mean, I saw a tool like this and I was in the military. I go, okay. We did similar things in Vietnam. I mean, we tried to rain out the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And we've done an awful lot of other things, on these lines. And HAARP even has frequencies. They can match the human frequency and the Earth frequencies. And which really leads into mind control. There are, if you haven't seen Holes in Heaven, there's some very good discussions in the video about HAARP and how it works. And I've got a couple slides here that were taken out of that. I can't verify that this is a fact, okay? These came out of the Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, and it was a reported hot water spout. And then they were looking at the dolphins there that were burned to a crisp. Well, it sure looks like that could have happened. I know we have space lasers. I think we could do something like this with HAARP, but I'm not positive. I don't have enough handle on the base data. I'd like to really see a whole lot more information, to sort all this out. Again, it's very confusing information. And looking at the HAARP facility, again, it's a directional frequency generator. It was built by private corporations, and then, well, it's hard to tell in the military-industrial complex we're in exactly who's doing what. But anyway, then it was taken over by the Air Force and the Navy. Rich Garcia, which is the director of public relations at the HAARP facility, he said, we can do what the sun does. He talks about it being a solar generator, and they can heat up the magnetosphere thousands of degrees. Do you think we could get some global warming from that? This is a picture of a spiral tension field. This is a picture of the HARP antenna in Norway. This was taken by some Baptist church tourists who were visiting Norway. And Oslo is on one side and the HARP facility is on the other side of the range. Again, they can transmit any frequency, heat the magnetosphere, push the atmosphere into space. They were using it for missiles. They take the whole atmosphere and push it into space. It's called a Tesla dome. I have a picture of one. They say it's not identified as a significant weather changer.
Wow.
Really? Here's a Tesla dome. Okay, so what's going on with the air columns and the entire environment when they're pushing it up and down? I don't know. I'm going to take some guesses, but you want to talk about chaotic weather? You want to look at, they can push the jet stream around with this. You move the jet stream, you can change anybody's weather. The technology is there, people, and I'm telling you, the military is doing a lot, and they're not talking about it. Hear that, guys? Whoops. I took this picture in Santa Rosa last week, and these are circular pressure waves. It's a cirriform clouds, but they were actually sculpted into pressure waves around. This was around. I couldn't get back far enough, and I didn't have a big enough lens to really get the picture. But when I saw that, it about blew me away. Okay, that's a HARP signature. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Okay, well, just looking at the solar data, you know, we're supposed to be going through a cooling period on the planet right now. Gee, how come everything's getting so damn hot? Well, it's the hottest decade since records were kept. HARP's been here 30 years. Okay? Increased 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit in the last century. The last decades of the century, well within the operation of HARP. Weather impacts. And it's massive vegetation die-off, forest fire intensity is increasing, more intense storms and flooding, expanding deserts, opening the Arctic shipping lanes, alarming declines in ocean phytoplankton. I got that over the wrong place. 40% since 1950. Changing ecosystems, species losses and increasing endangerment. Also the heat now, if you haven't heard, is starting to release methane from the ocean. And we're getting huge methane releases. Where that's all going, that's even a greater greenhouse gas than anything we've been talking about. Well, how much is HARP responsible for global warming? I'm going to ask the question. I don't know, but it seems to me they're certainly involved in this. Especially if we have this overhead every day. Then another mystery. We got documented solar burns in Napa Valley. I saw this in one day. We had a high-thin cirrus overcast. How's that possible? And if we've already got one in place, a screen in place, why is it so hot and why are we having so many problems? It's not doing what the scientists say we should be doing with this kind of program. They're recommending the very same programs. If you look at the roses and the grapes, it toasted them. Another interesting thing is EPA and NOAA web data. They say high solar radiation with cirriform cloud cover in June. Well, how do you create a forecast? Are they helping to create it?